All right, so I'm going to start, and I'm going to start recording as well so I can upload this. Did anybody try to view the daytime one recording?
Mm-mm.
No.
No? I was just wondering if anybody had trouble with it, but it looks like nobody has tried to do that anyway. So, all right. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, I have a little poll that I want to launch. Hopefully you see this. Let me know, and then I'll share everything, even though there's only 4 of us. Ooh, John. Now, does John like to go by Jack? John, is it Jack? That's what I thought. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. My brain is still functioning at 8:30. This is awesome. Okay, so I want to share my screen, and I want to just look at our syllabus really quickly here. Can everybody see the syllabus?
Yep.
Yeah?
I can
Okay.
indeed.
So the biggest things about this, I'm not going to read all of the course catalog stuff, but I do want to go down to some things. You can read most of this yourself, just to point out some things. Of course, I do expect when you do have quizzes and your final comes about that, you are making sure that you have integrity there and you're not using devices and all that kind of stuff. I would appreciate that you did not. And then all assignments are due Sunday for each section, which mirrors the weeks, right? So section 1 was week 1, section 2 is week 2. So basically Monday at 6 is when new content is available for that week. And then whatever is graded in that section is due by Sunday, 11:59 of that week, okay? I mean, if something just goes awry and God forbid you have to be in the hospital or something, or someone you love has to be in the hospital, just reach out to me and let me know, hey, this is what's going on. I'm not going to be able to get my assignment. And we can definitely work something out with that. These points are a rough estimate because I'm adding some new things to this course from last time. And so I'm playing with some things, which and making it definitely even better than last time. But I'm also kind of going with the flow too, to see what I'm getting from all of you as far as what kind of answers are you giving me in your assignments and that sort of thing, to sort of develop even better assignments than last time as well. So kind of using that to determine some of the things. I did want to bring up the course schedule in case you haven't seen it, but basically, as you can say, week 1 is section 1. We are here right now with values, visions, and mission. And there are 3 assignments, right? And then in section 3, we have goal setting with these 2 assignments. And then week 4, we have these assignments as well. All of the rest of these you can see are TBD, and that's for the reason that I specified just a minute ago. But then, of course, your final exam also. We do not have a midterm in this class, but we do have quizzes, as I already specified in the syllabus. Does anybody have any questions about the syllabus? All right. So I'm going to stop sharing. And let me see. What do we have? Did anybody? This is fun. Oh, cool. I didn't expect that. That's very good. So 2, nah, I'm good. 3 is I'm excited to see what happens as it grows out. Very good. I am, oh my goodness, yes. That's me, for sure. Even though I couldn't actually participate in the poll itself. Oh my gosh. As you can see, it's just, I don't even know. And I'm telling you, when I look in the mirror, it's just, I can't control it. It's getting crazy. Do this, and it just doesn't work. Okay. Other than that, how is everybody doing with the class content thus far? Hi, Sia.
Hey.
Hi. How are we doing? So, Jarrett, how are you doing with the content and the way that it's been given with the videos and that sort of thing?
I like it. It's nice being able to go back and just rewatch. I've watched the new one you did twice just because I watched it on my lunch break, and then when I got home, I watched it again. So it's
Okay.
nice being able to do that, and everything
Were
seems
you
solid.
were you able to see the quiz? Did the quiz pop up for you within the
It did not.
presentation?
It did not pop up for me. I was looking through because I heard the quiz part, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it on the calendar. thing. Maybe I stopped the video before it got there, but I didn't see one.
I don't
like
think so. I think people are having trouble with that, so I'm going to check some settings. The quizzes that I have implemented and put into the presentations, they are not worth a grade. It's mostly just for recall, to just kind of jog your memory,
Mhm.
so that when you do have your final, you're like, oh yeah, we did that. So the other graded quizzes will help with that too, but I just thought it would be a fun way. So I need to look at the settings to check that out. So expect more of that with the new ones coming out. And please let me know if you don't see them again, because my plan is to put one in at least every one going forward.
Got
Some
it.
kind of something, maybe more than one inside a presentation. Amanda,
Cool.
tell me about how you're doing with the content.
Good. I think it's very well delivered. I like it when things are kind of broken up and then you can kind of just go piece by piece. Especially me just kind of being home with a 5-year-old constantly like right there. I'm like, I can't sit here for more than 20 minutes. So that's good.
Yes.
But I don't know. Personally, I really love the break from not having to commute to school 4 nights a week. Like that was getting pretty hard on my body, my mind, my family. So I'm pretty happy that we're not there right now, to be totally honest. So I like the break and just yeah.
Good. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Lisa, how about you?
Yes, I would just second what has already been said, and I really appreciate there being a video. I know like not everybody is doing that, and I find that pretty challenging in other classes.
Okay.
So yeah, it just helps me feel connected and everything is pretty clear. And despite that, I somehow missed the last item that was due for this week. So my apologies, and I will finish that
No, I
immediately after
appreciate
this
that.
ends.
Yes, I appreciate that. Well,
There's
don't start it today.
yeah.
Wait till tomorrow, because I think the script has to sort of redo itself. If you can get to it, great. But if you can't, then it's probably because the script needs to run for Moodle tonight.
Okay.
Just FYI.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're
Hey,
welcome.
Spring, I have
Yeah.
a question. I don't know if you do this on purpose, and if you do, that's okay. But sometimes with like forum posts, I've noticed that sometimes there's a button where we can each like add our own like topic under viewers, and then sometimes, and it's not just you, like this happens with every class, and then sometimes we just can only reply to you or to the first person, and so it gets really hard to do like if I specifically wanted to reply to like Tumi's post, if it's the one way where we can only reply under yours, it just becomes this running list of everybody like in one post versus like each person getting to post their own thing. I don't know if that makes sense or if that's how you see it, but
Yeah, I see a running list. So it's kind of
yes,
like, because I have to, you can't see the forum unless I actually start it. So how I started
right,
is I basically repost the directions. And so
right.
that's kind of how it goes.
And so sometimes there's an option that gets added where we can add our own under yours. Like we see yours regardless. And I think I like it a little better when we can like add our own, just because then you can tell like who's replying to you. Otherwise it just kind of gets intermingled in this super long list.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's an option, but I've seen it done both ways for both of your classes. So I don't know if that's just a setting that you're clicking or you're not clicking.
Maybe I'll have to look into that. So it's kind of like, instead of seeing mine and then everything going underneath it, you would more prefer to where you could basically create your own
Right.
answering the questions, but then you can clearly see who's responding
Yes.
to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So add on post discussion. I'm going to check these settings. Thank you for telling me that.
Yep.
And before I forget to speak to Lisa's, what she said is that you appreciated the way that I was, doing the videos and all of that, and that not all of your instructors are doing that. Tell your instructors, give them feedback about these things. Even if you say, some of my other classes are doing it this way and I find it really valuable and I feel more engaged, or whatever the words you want to put in there. And then, say, could you think about maybe possibly doing this? Don't be afraid to do that, because in this environment, I think that is our biggest priority, is keeping you as engaged and interacted with the content as possible given this situation. So
Mhm.
Lisa, don't be afraid to
Actually,
mention that too.
yeah, I won't. I did mention it already, and I think that instructor just does not have plans to do that. So
Oh,
I
okay.
think, I just need to make the decision about whether or not I can manage it without that, because it just presents some difficulties for me. But that's okay. Like,
Yeah,
the whole world doesn't have to tailor itself to me.
that's true. That's true. But man, I don't know. I'm one of those flexible type people though too. It's like, hey, I want you to get the content that you need. So what can I do to better that? I think there's always a leveling up that can happen. So I don't know, but I know not everybody's like me. So, okay. So Jack, tell me how you're interacting with the content. How's it going? I think you're on mute. There you go.
Yep. I'm doing good. I think only can reiterate what everyone else has said. I like the way that you are doing the virtual thing. I like the
Okay.
videos. I also didn't get the quiz, but it sounds like you're gonna check on that for the
Oh yeah, for the next ones. Yeah,
Yep.
because it should be popping up right in the presentations. Like you watch it and then the presentation stops and here comes the quiz. And then after
Mhm.
you finish it, the quiz drops off and then the presentation continues. So that's how it should work. But
Okay.
I'll definitely
Um,
check settings and work with IT with that too.
sounds like a plan. And one, I was a little distracted earlier. I was trying to see if I could provide some specific examples um, of what Amanda was talking about. So the Tell Us Something New forum, I think, is set up the way that um, that I would agree with Amanda works best, where everyone can post their own thing. And um, I I don't know about this, but I wonder if there's also not a delay. Um, Comparing that forum to the self-reflection forum, which is the um, reply format instead of the post your own thing
Yep.
format. Um, the thing about the self-reflection forum is that you also have 30 minutes after you post to see everyone else's posts.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's a thing with the uh, Tell Us Something New, but yeah, I hope that was a little helpful.
Mhm.
Amanda, was that on that
Yeah,
welcome? It was not 30 minutes. You didn't have to wait 30 minutes.
I don't think you do. I think when you post your own, I'm pretty sure it's like right there. So
Okay.
that's kind of nice, especially if you're yeah. I don't think you have to wait when you can like post your own topic.
So one of the reasons why the difference there, and I'm glad that you pointed that out, the difference is one of them is set up as just a regular forum and the other one is set it up as, it's called a Q&A forum, where basically you can't reply to anybody else until you post first. So that alleviates anybody kind of, and for lack of a better phrase here, using other people's answers. So I want to hear from you first without seeing anybody else's stuff. I want to hear from you personally, and then you can reply to other, because what I like to see is a thread of commonalities of what's going on, and I don't want your post to be tainted is not the right word, but for someone else's. I want it to be you. Like that's where I'm going from. And if the forum is graded in a way where there's maybe only one answer, or people are probably going to give some of the same answers to things, then you'll feel like, well, everybody else already said it. And that could be your post possibly as well. Everybody else already said it, but here you go, that sort of thing. So that's kind of why I do that. I bet you that's why you're seeing the difference with the threading and how it looks.
Yeah.
So I probably won't change that, just because of the fact that I want to hear from you first before you get to see everybody else's. So you won't be able to necessarily see that, but I'm wondering if there's another setting that I could set to where you could see who's replying to you other than the indention. You can see the indention, right? Like when you post, whoever's replying to you is indented underneath your post.
Yeah, I don't think it always goes right in order though.
Oh, it
because
doesn't? Okay.
Sometimes I've tried to read them and then I'm like, I don't think that that was a reply to mine. Like,
Okay, cool.
so,
You know what we could do, maybe best practices with that is I could put in the directions, make sure you say, Amanda, I really liked your, you know what I mean? Maybe we could
Mhm.
do that. That's a good idea. Yeah.
that's kind of what I typically how I've done it. Like I know Megan and I seem to be the first two that kind of keep replying to the post. And so then her and I kind of keep doing it. So what I'll do is I'll change like the subject line and I'll change it to like reply and then I'll put like Megan's post.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Just, I don't know, just to help, but
Yeah. I think we could do something like that, but instead of the subject line, just put it right in the actual reply itself. Like, Amanda, I really like that. Or Lisa, I was thinking about that too, or that sort of thing. So I'll add that to the directions, and I think that maybe it will be a good compromise there with the future ones. Thank you for that feedback for sure. And the 30-minute thing, so that is a Moodle thing. When it comes to Q&A, that's a Moodle thing. In case you want to change your answer, you have 30 minutes to do so. That's why you can't see everybody else's stuff, because it's giving you time to actually do that if you want to. It's just something within Moodle. So unfortunately, we can't not do that, but with that particular type of forum. So, okay, Sia, tell me how you're doing with the content.
I like it. It works well for me with all the
Okay.
video.
Yeah. Yay. Wonderful. Okay. Sounds good. So I was able to actually get some grading done today, and so I want to have a little bit of a conversation here. You know, I'm so glad that we're all in one Moodle shell so that we can all kind of come together with these types of things. But one thing that I have seen in the forums was the fact that some of you had trouble with major accomplishments. That you're like, well, some of you had this thought of, well, I don't know if I've really accomplished anything major, right? And I wanted to encourage you that if you've gotten this far in life, that's a major accomplishment. That is completely a major accomplishment. Whether you've done something, what you think is huge, which is really subjective, right? And I think, Jack, you kind of alluded to this in your forum. You talked about it's sort of subjective when it comes to accomplishments because everybody has different ideas of what that is. Kind of like the same thing, we all have different ideas of what success means. Like success for one person could be being a millionaire, where success for another person could be having a healthy family. You know what I mean? There's these different variations for sure. So when it comes to accomplishments, I encourage you to think about them that way too, is that everybody has a different sense of what they feel is an accomplishment in their lives. And some of you have shared amazing stories of what you have traversed or where you have started and now where you are too. That's a huge accomplishment. And I think that we forget the process in there too, because an accomplishment is the process too. It's not the big thing at the end. It's the process also of getting there too. Does anybody have anything else additional to say about that? No?
I really like that though. And in my late post today, said something about that too, that it's just, making it through those things that, I called accomplishments for the sake of answering that question, that I hadn't maybe thought of it that way before, but it was, in some cases, it was just making it through a difficult experience when you just get really shocked by something life throws at you and you're not sure you're going to make it through, or maybe you don't want to make it through. And just knowing that I can do that gives me the confidence to know that, like, okay, I don't have all the answers to all the questions right now, and nobody knows what's going to happen like next week, much less 6 months or a year from now. And all I have to do is like show up for the moment in front of me,
Right.
and so yeah, it's worrying less about the outcomes and, like you said, doing the process.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's the little things. We have accomplishments every day. Getting out of bed is an accomplishment.
Mhm.
I mean, that's an accomplishment. Dealing with a 5-year-old, that's an accomplishment. I mean, there's these things that we overlook because I think that we think that accomplishments are these huge things that we have done, when really we do huge things every single day that make us who we are down the road. So please remember that. Does anybody have anything else to say around that? No? Okay, I just want to say, Jack and Sia, I know Lisa already gave me an excuse, but Jack and Sia, I want to see your faces next time at least, please. I miss faces. I mean, you don't
My
have
camera's
to, but
busted right now, so
oh, bust camera. Okay,
I'll get it fixed.
okay. The other thing that I wanted to say, oh, Jack, very nice, thank you.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I wanted to say was, some of you, there's a little bit of a theme that some of you had. It was easier for you to identify your weaknesses than to identify your strengths, so to speak. Or sort of, what do you do least well? That came quicker than what do you do well. Isn't it interesting about human nature how we are almost wired to remember the negative more and to fixate on that, and to dwell in it and kind of get wrapped up in it at times, or beat ourselves up over and over about those things. And I think that that's because of that wiring. Those paths are easier to continue to cycle. It's when we consciously make the effort to change that cycle or to interrupt it, and we consistently do that, that then we're then able to recognize the things we actually do well and that we're good at. But that is like breaking a habit. And we all know that breaking a habit is hard to do, for sure. That it takes consistency, it takes day after day of doing that. But I'll tell you, when it comes to being able to break that cycle and see more of a positive outlook on things, it is easier to identify what you're good at. Definitely, for sure. But it takes practice. Anybody else have any other input with that one?
Well, you're right, because I know with my whole studying like the hypnotherapy stuff, that's basically you pretty much just summed up like what your subconscious mind does. So with negative emotions, you typically in those moments your fight or flight starts to get stimulated and that adrenaline, so it hardwires those nerve connections a lot harder and faster. And then that is like the stronger input that your conscious brain is just going to kind of go to all the time, even if it's not a good one, it's a known one. And that's how you kind of doing those patterns. So yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything?
I definitely agree that it is easier to think about negative things, and that's something that everyone can work on. But I guess there's also, I guess I just want to also represent the value in, I guess, feeling inadequate, for lack of a better word. I mean,
Okay.
seeking to, when you're good or proficient at, I mean, it feels good to do that thing, but I don't know if there's always necessarily the same drive to be better than for your shortcomings.
You mean if you don't have the opposite of what you used inadequate, but if you can't identify your weaknesses, how can you make them strong? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, there's a lot of fulfillment in the journey of, addressing your weaknesses or something like that. Like the pursuit of becoming better at your, or, trying to improve on where you fall short is a very big and beneficial part of life. So while we could all probably fixate less on the things we don't do well, I also value it, and I'm sure everyone else does too. But yeah,
You definitely don't know where you've come from if you can't identify some kind of baseline. Because if you aren't aware of your weaknesses, then how do you know that they became strengths? I mean, the process is important for sure. Yeah, definitely. Anybody else have any thoughts about that? Jared's like, no.
Just a big can of worms I don't want to open up.
Yeah.
Could go on forever. But I'll add a little bit to it. A lot of people, when they talk about accomplishments, don't want to seem like they're bragging, I guess you could say. And so they have a lot, but there's that whole thing that's make them be like, I don't want to seem conceited, so let's try to think of something just moderate. And then they're like, oh, and they can throw off all the bad things. He's like, weaknesses, whatever. Like, I don't know why it's so uncomfortable, but like when someone's like, oh, what's one of your big accomplishments? I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. Like, I've done a lot of cool stuff, but it's like, you don't want to seem, for lack of a better words, just conceited, I guess is the best way. So that's my 2 cents. I'll stick with that.
So ego, you don't want it to seem like you're coming from a place of
Full ego, yeah.
Yeah, full ego, right.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said though about how you deliver that too, though. I mean, we all know that real kind of like narcissistic person or that's full of ego, and that they're just going to tell you, if you ask them what's your major accomplishments, they're going to go on, and you can just feel this overall energy of like, oh my God, you're so cocky. Like there's just this overall feeling. But Jared, someone like you, if I ask you what's your major accomplishment, you start talking about your recording, I don't get ego from you. So I think that there's a sense of who, like who is that person you're speaking to. And I mean, I think cockiness definitely comes over. You could have the same accomplishment with the recording stuff, and then this cocky person also has the same accomplishments, but what you're saying and what this other person is saying is kind of come off differently because of where you're coming from, for sure.
And I guess you could add, like, for some, were to talk to like 2 different people that were in dance, I'll just throw that out there. One of them's they're going to have a lot more passion behind their voice, and the other person is going to be more, oh yeah, I do it because I'm good at it. Kind of the same thing. Because I had a few people like that when I was recording, so
yeah,
makes sense.
And I think that some people don't know their self-worth either. They don't know they have their own self-worth issues. And so a question like that is going to bring that up, and you're going to feel that in the delivery. Or someone who is more like, yeah, this is what I've done, and they're coming from more of a humble place. They don't feel like they have to overdo their explanation, sort of, because they have more of a sense of worth. Not to say that everything is in order there, but that there's more of a sense there. I think that comes over too. I guess I'm speaking more vibrationally and energetically too, just in general. When we're talking about people, you get a sense when someone talks, if they're genuine, if they're tooting their own horn because they don't feel good about themselves or what's really inside. You know what I mean? So I think that
I have a quick story if you want to hear. It's
Yeah,
actually
please.
kind of cool. So there's this bass player named Victor Wooten. When I was in college the first time, he came in and he pretty much was just talking because he was friends with one of the teachers, yada, yada, yada. And he's like the best bass player of all time. And he asked a question, and he was like, who here plays bass? And myself and a few others raised their hand. He's like, oh, do you say you're good? And we all kind of were like, no, because he's the best bass player in the world. And he was like, even though, like, I might be, I have Grammys, I have this, I have that, or Grammys, whatever the term is. I don't watch that, but I have all this stuff. You still are a good bass player in your own right, and don't sell yourself short. And so that was kind of one of the lessons I always learned, that you should always be like, yeah, I'm good at the thing, instead of being like, I don't know. Just if you say you're good, then you'll eventually be good, even if you're not. It's kind of a fun thought. So, end of a story. I thought it kind of applied.
Thank you for sharing. That brings up another thing of comparison. I think when we compare ourselves to other people, we can get thrown off by who we are because we're trying to compare. And I always say this too, even with massage therapists, comparing yourself to someone else who's a massage therapist is really like comparing apples to oranges. There's no comparison. There is not, because there's only one you. There's only one me. There's only one you. And we come from very different backgrounds, and there will only be one you and one me, hence the term individual, because really we are our own people. There's never a time where any of us in this room can be comparing apples to apples. Like, Jack, your life is completely different than mine. Lisa, same thing. All of you, we all have very different lives. But I'm a massage therapist. You will be a massage therapist. But you can't compare. You can't compare. So I think that that's sometimes where accomplishments get hung up too, is if I'm in the room and you're in the room as a new therapist and we're talking about massage accomplishments, we're two different people. You can't, yeah, I can be a mentor or whatever, but still you're going to be better at things than I am. You will be, even as a beginning therapist, because you're wired different. You're a different individual. So I know that even me, I can get into this comparison role, especially when I'm talking to someone who has been in the field longer than I have or has different experiences than I have, to where I'm almost like, well, I don't want to talk about my accomplishments because crap, you've accomplished X, Y, Z, just like Jarrett was saying. But I think we do ourselves a disservice when we compare, for sure. For sure. Anybody have anything else about that? No? All right. And I think that's what I wanted to, just because I noticed a theme. And there was a lot of talk too about basically getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, which I thought was really, really great, because that is the only way that we grow, is to really get uncomfortable, or get it comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's really stepping outside of our space, our like a little box of security, and that's what running a business is about. Whether you decide to run a business or not, some of these assignments are going to make you uncomfortable, just because they're really asking you about where you are in life and having you think. But that's great, because it brings awareness, and then you become more comfortable with things like that. But really, when it comes to life, when it comes to running your own business, there's general knowledge and application that you can of course apply. But when it comes down to it, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to fail. You're going to mess up. And when you do, as long as you pick yourself back up, and as long as you say, what did I learn from this? You're going to be better for it. There's no need to judge or compare and say, oh, well, my brother is in business and he didn't have to do this, or he didn't experience this, or he didn't mess up here, whatever. I'm just making but don't compare yourself. This is your own journey, no matter what it is, life, your own business, your career as a massage therapist. It's your own journey. Just make sure you continue to get up, apply, move on, apply, move on. It's like a learn, apply, move on. Learn, apply, move on. It's kind of like a mantra, for sure. All right. Anything else that you wanted to add? Any questions that you have? Any questions that you have about the summer term overall that I can answer for you?
Yeah, I was talking to oh my goodness, I can't remember his name. I think it's Drew, the orthopedic care instructor.
Oh, Alex.
Yeah, Sundin. Sundin. He said that they opened the Human Performance Center this week. Is that a good sign of things to come?
I don't know about a sign. I will say this: they're opening it for acute care only,
Okay.
and the Bloomington Clinic. So it's not for interns; it's for practitioners.
Okay.
Like I said in our thing, our first order of business is to make up courses and clinical rotations from the winter term. So when we're able to get back on, that'll be our first order. And there will be a process of who can come back to campus and how they can come back to campus.
Mm-hmm.
So that information will be further delivered when we kind of know more, but we're already having plans of, okay, this is when we're going to make up this course. This is where, as far as clinical rotations and stuff. So if you haven't heard more about the clinical rotations, you should be hearing more from the clinical team soon about that if you have to make one up. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah.
So I don't know how other people are feeling about going back to campus, but I, for one, am not in a big rush because I'm really concerned about what could happen if we all like just pretend everything's normal too soon. So I'm wondering, like, even if we're like quote unquote allowed to go back, will we be forced to go back, or can we delay that until later?
Yeah, so the leadership of the university, and I myself, of course, too, are all about, hey, if you don't feel comfortable, we're not going to make you, for sure, because there's even going to be faculty that are not going to feel comfortable coming back too. So what I have requested, if any of the classes that you have, those instructors, that if they decide to have classes live on campus, that they are not required and you cannot be penalized for not attending. And that also they have to record that material so that and place it in Moodle so that you don't miss it.
Okay, cool. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else about that? All right. Any other questions, concerns, issues?
I'm bummed I can't take Reiki.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna in the fall though. I'm putting it in the fall, so I'm hoping that the fall goes as planned. I mean, who knows? But that's my hope. And I was so excited to teach it too. So, and I'm definitely excited that it'll be in the fall. So excited about that. Anything else? All right, everyone. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll let you go. Have a good rest of your evening. It was great to see your faces, Lisa and Sia, when you get your camera fixed, Sia, but then Lisa next time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Have a beautiful night, and I'll post this recording up. Not that you have to watch it, but because you're here. But have a good one. I'll see you next week.
You.
Later.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
So, guys.